The golden rays of dawn painted the sky in shades of amber and rose, as 12-year-old Marcus stepped onto his grandmother's wraparound porch. The old Victorian house, with its intricate wooden trim and climbing ivy, had been his sanctuary every summer since he could remember. But this summer felt different. His parents' recent divorce had left him feeling like a ship without an anchor, drifting in an ocean of uncertainty. Marcus had always been the quiet observer, the boy who noticed things others missed. While his classmates were busy with video games and social media, he found solace in the natural world that surrounded his grandmother's estate. The sprawling garden, with its maze of rose bushes and ancient oak trees, seemed to hold secrets that whispered to his troubled soul. As he settled into the old wooden swing that hung from the porch ceiling, something caught his eye. There, beneath the magnificent magnolia tree that had stood sentinel for over a century, lay a small, motionless form. Marcus's heart quickened as he approached, his bare feet silent on the dew-kissed grass. It was a cardinal, a young female with feathers that shimmered like burnished copper in the morning light. Her left wing was twisted at an unnatural angle, and her tiny chest rose and fell in rapid, shallow breaths. Most children might have run for an adult, but Marcus had learned early that sometimes the most profound moments require us to stand alone with our choices. He knelt beside the injured creature, his eyes filling with tears that surprised him with their intensity. "Hey there, little one," he whispered, his voice barely audible above the morning breeze. "You're going to be okay. I promise." The bird's dark eyes fixed on his face, and in that moment, Murk felt a connection that transcended species, a recognition of suffering that mirrored his own inner turmoil. Just as his family had been broken, this beautiful creature lay broken before him. But unlike his parents' marriage, perhaps this was something he could help heal. With the gentleness that only comes from a heart that has known pain, Marcus carefully lifted the cardinal. She didn't struggle, as if understanding that this boy meant no harm. He fashioned a soft nest from his grandmother's gardening towels and placed her in an old wicker basket, creating a makeshift sanctuary in the garden shed. "Grandma Rose," he called softly as he entered the kitchen, where the aroma of fresh-baked biscuits filled the air. His grandmother, a woman whose silver hair seemed to catch and hold starlight, looked up from her cooking with knowing eyes. "You found something that needs helping, didn't you, sweetheart?" she asked, wiping her flour-dusted hands on her apron. Rose had raised 6 children and helped heal countless wounded creatures over the years. She recognized the look of compassionate determination in her grandson's eyes. Together, they contacted Dr. Sarah Chen, the local veterinarian who had become like family over the years. Dr. Chen arrived within the hour, her gentle demeanor immediately putting both Marcus and the bird at ease. "Her wing is badly injured," Dr. Chen explained after her examination, "but it's not broken. With proper care and time, she should be able to fly again." "But Marcus," she looked directly into his eyes, "this will require patience, dedication, and a lot of love. Are you prepared for that responsibility?" Marcus nodded without hesitation. "Yes, ma'am. I'll do whatever it takes." And so began the most transformative summer of Marcus's young life. He named the cardinal Grace, inspired by the elegant way she moved despite her injury. Every morning, he would wake before dawn to check on her, bringing fresh water and the special food Dr. Chen had recommended. He would sit beside her basket for hours, reading aloud from his favorite books or simply talking about his dreams and fears. "You know, Grace," he confided one evening, as twilight painted the sky purple, "my parents think they can't fix what's broken between them. But look at you. You're getting stronger every day. Maybe healing isn't about going back to how things were. Maybe it's about becoming something new and beautiful." As the days passed, Grace's strength slowly returned. Her feathers regained their lustrous shine, and her eyes grew brighter with each passing day. Marcus documented her progress in a leather journal his grandmother had given him, filling page after page with observations, sketches, and heartfelt reflections. Word of Marcus's dedication spread throughout the small town. Neighbors would stop by to check on Grace's progress, and soon Marcus found himself at the center of a community that had rallied around his act of compassion. Mrs. Patterson from next door brought special seeds she'd researched online. Tom, the mailman, would pause his route to ask for updates. Even the local newspaper wanted to do a story about the boy and his injured bird. But Marcus remained focused on Grace, understanding instinctively that healing couldn't be rushed. He researched cardinal behavior, learned about their diet and habitat needs, and even built a larger, more comfortable enclosure as Grace grew stronger. 3 weeks into Grace's recovery, something magical happened. As Marcus sat reading beside her enclosure, Grace hopped onto a low branch he'd placed inside. She spread her wings, both wings, wide for the first time since her injury. The sight took Marcus's breath away. "Grandma Rose," he called, his voice cracking with emotion. "Come quick, Grace is spreading her wings." They watched in wonder as Grace tentatively flapped her wings, testing their strength. It was clear she wasn't ready to fly yet, but the progress was undeniable. "You know what this reminds me of?" Grandma Rose said softly, placing her weathered hand on Marcus's shoulder. "The way you've grown this summer. When you first arrived, you were like Grace, beautiful but broken, afraid to stretch your wings. Now look at you." Marcus felt tears stream down his cheeks as the truth of her words washed over him. In caring for Grace, he had indeed been healing something within himself. The anger and confusion about his parents' divorce hadn't disappeared, but it had transformed into something softer: acceptance, resilience, and hope. On a glorious morning in late July, Grace was finally ready. Marcus had built a small platform outside the enclosure, giving her the option to return if she wasn't quite prepared for complete freedom. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Grace hopped onto the platform, looked directly at Marcus with what he could swear was gratitude, and took flight. She circled the garden 3 times, her wings catching the sunlight like stained glass, before landing on the very magnolia branch where Marcus had first spotted her weeks ago. For a long moment, boy and bird regarded each other across the distance, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. Then Grace let out a clear, melodious call, the first sound Marcus had ever heard her make. Other cardinals emerged from the surrounding trees, welcoming her back to their community. She called once more, as if to say goodbye and thank you, before disappearing into the canopy with her family. That evening, as Marcus sat on the porch swing watching the sunset, his phone buzzed with a text from his father. "Your mother. And I want to talk with you about some positive changes we're remaking. We love you, son." Marcus smiled, understanding now that sometimes the most broken things can teach us the most about healing. Grace hadn't just learned to fly again. She had shown him that with patience, love, and compassion, even the most wounded hearts can soar. Years later, Marcus would become a wildlife veterinarian, dedicating his life to healing injured creatures. But he would never forget that golden summer when a small broken bird taught him the most important lesson of all. That kindness isn't just about helping others heal. It's about discovering the wings we never knew we had. In his office, Dr. Marcus Williams keeps a photograph of himself as a 12-year-old boy, sitting beside a wicker basket with a small cardinal perched on his finger. Visitors often ask about the picture, and he always smiles before telling them the story of Grace, the bird who taught him that sometimes the most profound healing happens when we open our hearts to help another's broken wing take flight. And on quiet mornings when the sunlight streams through his clinic windows just right, Marcus swears he can still hear Grace's melodious call, reminding him that every act of kindness creates ripples that extend far beyond what we can see, touching hearts, healing spirits, and teaching us all how to soar. Like and subscribe for more videos.